of the Bhagavad Gita is it compiles the entirety of Vedic knowledge, the entirety of that, into 700 shlokas. So think of all those 108, whatever that 108 is trying to teach you is all there in 700
Do you think
shlokas.
this is also a mark of a degrading society of ours? That the vast knowledge that we had and we were exposed to with every passing year or every passing generation, उसको compress form में करे जा रहे हैं कि वो नहीं कर सकते तो ये कर लो, ये नहीं समझ सकते तो इतना समझ लो, इतना नहीं समझ सकते तो इतना समझ लो. Namaskar and welcome back. Welcome back to you also, Priyaji. How are you?
Good, and so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations. Life is a battlefield. This is a book we were talking about
Yes.
when we recorded last.
Exactly. This is the new one.
So ये बहुत ऐसे आ गई. But this was perhaps in the working, ना?
It was. I've been working on it for a while, actually.
हाँ.
ऐसे नहीं आ गई. Actually, it was a lot of work.
Because you were working on it उस time पर भी ना, when your first book got out.
2 साल से.
उस time पे you knew that there's so
Yeah.
much of information. In fact, the subject that you've been working on,
Right.
उसके अंदर है ही इतना, it's a sea of knowledge.
Sea of knowledge.
So उसके अंदर जितना लिखा जाए उतना कम है,
It
and
बिल्कुल.
जितना explore करना चाहे उतना ज़्यादा explore हो पाएगा. So congratulations for this book. What is the book about? Tell us a bit about it before I
Before
get
we
down to
start.
questions. Yes.
So basically, it's about how to be happy in a nutshell. And that may seem strange when it's about the Bhagavad Gita. It's based on the Bhagavad Gita. But that's what the Bhagavad Gita is about.
हाँ, but
Actually,
Bhagavad
it's not a
Gita.
religious book.
But Bhagavad Gita was, मतलब the sermon was delivered युद्ध के
Not
मैदान
sermon,
में.
samvad.
संवाद.
Because it was a discussion.
It was a discussion. But वो संवाद जो हुआ था वो हुआ था युद्ध के मैदान में एकदम बीच
बिल्कुल,
में.
yes.
So it's strange that you call it
How
a
to be
book
happy. No, that's what it is. See, because life, and the book is called Life is a Battlefield, because life is a struggle. It's a sangharsh, right? And in that sangharsh, you have to be happy. We cannot, see, we always think that, okay,
But who calls it a sangharsh?
it is a sangharsh. You think life is a walk in the park? It's not.
Could it be or could it not be?
Well, I don't know.
How does Krishna think of
He
life?
calls it a dukhalayam. So if you want his opinion, he says it's a dukhalayam. So, and the reason is, actually, jokes apart, we come here to learn lessons. So you can say it's like a classroom. So is a classroom a walk in the park? No. You go to a classroom to learn things. So there are difficult lessons and there are easy lessons. They're nice experiences and they're not so nice. Like if you don't like math and you're in math class, then that's a sangharsh for you, right? If you like art and extracurricular activities and you're doing that, that's nice for you. So life is like that. It's ups and downs, good and bad, sukh dukh. It's basically dualities. Life is all about dualities. We want undiluted happiness always. That's what we work. Every single human being wants only that. If you ask anybody, no matter where they are in the world, whether they live in China or the United States or India or, some darkest part of the world which nobody has been to, human aspiration is to have happiness, a lot of it, and forever. And everything we do in life is geared to that end. Why do we want to earn money? That money is not what we want. We want the happiness that we think that money will buy us. That's why we want money. So it's happiness that we are after. Why do you want a nice house? Because you think it'll bring you happiness. Why do we form relationships with certain people? Deep. Because that brings us happiness. That's the only thing we're chasing.
Is that your interpretation of things?
No, that is what.
Or how you've seen life, or
No,
is it
that is
Krishna
what-
saying it?
Well, that is what the essence of Vedanta is that we all seek happiness, but we are seeking it in the wrong place. Because if you look at it, we want permanent happiness, but where are we looking it? In impermanent things. So you cannot find permanent happiness in an impermanent situation. Correct?
Hmm.
So that is the whole mess in life that we are in. That we are looking for something, we have an expectation which cannot be met. It is like bound for disappointment. Right?
Hmm.
So this book is about changing your, it's not about taking sannyas and becoming, people think Bhagavad Gita is for retirement. Oh, don't study Bhagavad Gita now. You study it when you're retired, when you have nothing to do. Are, this is a manual for life. So product manual you should open when you get the product, no? Not at the end of its life. What is the point of that? So why is it a product manual? Because it helps you think correctly. And what is correct? In a way that gives you happiness.
Okay, so essentially, we are talking about Vedantic philosophy, and Vedant ये कहता है कि हर कोई, हर व्यक्ति हैप्पीनेस सीख कर रहा है, शांति सीख कर रहा है, सुख सीख कर रहा है, शांति, सुख और शांति सीख कर रहा है. और उसको सीख करने के लिए हमने जो एक जंजाल बना रखा है अपने आसपास ऑफ इम्पर्मानेंट थिंग्स और टैंजिबल थिंग्स और ऑब्जेक्ट्स, हम उसमें सीख करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, जबकि वहाँ पर नहीं है, वहाँ पर है,
टेम्पररी है,
वहाँ पर टेम्पररी सुख है. तो अगर किसी को परमानेंट सुख चाहिए, लंबा सुख और खुशियाँ चाहिए, तो शायद उसको
वो आंतरिक सुख चाहिए,
आंतरिक सुख चाहिए.
ये बाहर का सुख जो है ना, it does give you happiness, otherwise we wouldn't chase it, na? Let me tell you, if you win a lottery tomorrow and you have a lot of money, it will give you happiness. Of course it will give you happiness, because then you'll go out and buy maybe a Ferrari or whatever, and that Ferrari will give you happiness for a very short time. But then, will you be happy forever with that?
But what is wrong in having, so essentially, when many young men and women, we're calling in Delhi, कल दिन में I was going for a meeting, and I taken an Uber. Uber में this seemed like a early 40s man, rather late 40s, and मैंने उनसे पूछा बस लाइफ कैसी चल रही है, and पैट के अंदर रिप्लाई, भैया संघर्ष चल रहा है,
संघर्ष चल रहा है.
अब perhaps I was reading a book.
Life is a battlefield.
And in fact, I think that was in the back of my mind, and I asked कि संघर्ष किस चीज़ का चल रहा है, क्योंकि एक पर्सनल संघर्ष हो सकता है कि परिवार के अंदर कोई झगड़ा हो रहा हो जिसके बीच में वो फंसा हो, बट इट बॉइल्ड डाउन टू, उसने बताया कि फाइनेंशियल संघर्ष चल रहा है. और वही फाइनेंशियल संघर्ष, जैसे आपने शुरुआत की ना कि पैसे का या मनी का जो परसूट है, that necessarily to a certain point of time ensures कि आपके पास एक relative comfort space है, having a roof over your head which is totally yours, having food on your plate, and इसकी गारंटी कि भाई कल सुबह भी मिलेगा, परसों भी मिलेगा, तरसों भी मिलेगा. It's a consequence of the last 200-300 years कि हम वो stability आज सीख भी कर पा रहे हैं. आज से 300 वर्ष पहले ना दुनिया ऐसी थी, ना दुनिया में लोगों की एस्पिरेशंस ऐसी थी. जो झगड़े थे लाइफ के वो इतने बेसिक हुआ करते थे.
Correct.
We may think that we've traveled far, and of course we've traveled far, but essentially एक एवरेज इंडियन का या एक एवरेज ह्यूमन का जो स्ट्रगल है वो कई लेवल पर तो इसी पे टिका हुआ है कि उसके पास एक घर हो, एक गाड़ी हो और उसके पास खाना हो, ठीक, और वो किसी न किसी तरह
कपड़ा और मकान,
और अपने परिवार को वो एक प्रोटेक्शन दे पाए. Is that not a pursuit that is
no, it should be. It's a very important pursuit. You know, the beauty of our shastras is they're not telling you to, you know, live without any goals and to not have any aspirations, any, you know, worldly aspirations. It's fine. It's not saying that don't do that. What it's saying is that in pursuing all this, you are going to be stressed in life, right? You must earn money. Money is Lakshmi. You know, we never think of money as bad. But you are going to be stressed when you're doing this. You have to have goals. What it's telling you is how to handle that stress, how to handle the stress of life. See, that's why it's been taught on a battlefield, in the thick of life. This has been not taught to sannyasis in the forest. You know, you give up everything, and, you know, that's the difference between the Bhagavad Gita and maybe I don't know, any other text which tells you to go and take sannyas. Our Vedanta and our Bhagavad Gita, both of them, actually Bhagavad Gita is Vedanta, so basically it's the same thing. They teach you how to handle the stress of life while pursuing your regular job, your regular duty. So that Uber driver you were talking to, now how this could help him, and this is regardless of religion, huh? It's got nothing to do with religion. This thinking is how do you anchor your mind when you have that financial stress. Of course, you keep working to better yourself. We must. Every day you must work to be better than yesterday. We all have goals. It's not that you don't have aspirations to have a nice house and all that. You must. But how do you handle the stress of the rat race to get there? You see? And the way you handle it is to not make that a goal in itself. See, you work hard, you do everything for achieving something, but without, it's a kind of like a contradiction. It may sound like a contradiction, but it is possible. But to do it without that attachment, the attachment to it, that craving for it. So this is what, that famous line, karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. What does it mean? It's translated as usually translated as you have the right to work, you don't have the right to the result. But that doesn't really explain it. See, English translations are very inadequate to explain Vedanta, actually. So what he's trying to say there is you do not control the outcome of things in your life. The only factor you have control over is your effort, your actions. That is the only thing in life you control. Now, why we get stressed is because we are trying to control the outcome in our minds. I'm not saying that we can. We think, okay, if I do this, then this will happen, or this has to happen, or I have to reach that milestone. But you don't have control over that. You only control your effort, your input. So, it's like, to give an example, if you're playing a game, supposing you're playing cricket, right? If you're constantly looking at the scoreboard to see what is the outcome, you're taking your mind off your game. So one of the ways, in fact, MS Dhoni says that. When people asked him, how are you Captain Cool? He says that. He says, I don't look at the scoreboard. When I'm playing, my mind is only on the game. And that's it. So he's concentrating on what he's doing is exactly exemplifying this shloka. He's concentrating on his effort and not concentrating on the result, and therefore he is not anxious. Therefore he is Captain Cool. Because we tend to in life always focus on, okay, I want this to happen, but we are focusing so much on that end result and not so much on your effort. So that's not in your control.
So are you discounting the astrological sciences?
Destiny? No, I'm not. I'll tell you, that's also interesting. See, the way it's explained is there is destiny and you cannot escape it. Prarabdha karma is the karma that you are born with.
So Prarabdha karma is also talked about in Vedantic philosophy?
Oh yeah, Sanchita, Prarabdha and Agami.
Let's first decode Vedantic philosophy. What is it? What is it about? What are its origins?
Okay, Vedanta. So the Vedas are the basic texts that inspire Hinduism, right? That's where the whole concept of Hinduism comes from, is from the Veda. So what is the Veda? The Veda are called Shruti. What is Shruti? Shruti is to do with that which is heard, is Shruti. So where were these heard from? Great rishis in moments of samadhi, in intense contemplation, received this knowledge. So this is not knowledge which they sat down and wrote one day. They did not sit down and say, okay, now I'm going to write about this. It's in samadhi, this knowledge just came to them. So they are like divine revelations. So it's like, think of it as the word of the universe, the word of the power of existence, the word of the Atman that has come to them through revelation. So that's why they are not called, they're not considered humanly authored, because this is not their knowledge, it's knowledge that has been revealed to them. So then these were put into all these shlokas. That is Shruti. Now the Shruti has two parts. The Vedas have two parts. One is the Karma Kand, which is all the rituals, the practices, like, for instance, your birth ceremony and death ceremony and marriage ceremony. I'm just giving an example. That's all part of the Karma Kand. Then if you want to go to heaven, there are mantras for that. If you want a son, then there's like Putra Kameshti, which Dasharath did. So, these are there in the Karma Kand. But that's not the most important part of the Veda. The most important part of the Veda is the Upanishads. The Upanishads are the most important aspect. So what are the Upanishads? Upanishads are constitute the philosophy of the Veda, the philosophy behind all those rituals. So they are the essence of the Veda is found in the Upanishads. And that is called Vedanta. And why Vedanta? The final meaning of the Veda, the Ant of it's a Veda Anta, right? But it's the end meaning, not literally at the end of the Veda that you'll find these lessons. It is the final meaning of what is this Veda trying to teach you. And there's only one thing it's trying to teach you. Actually, you can say it in two words: Aham Brahmasmi. That's all it's trying to teach you. So it seems very simple, but to understand Aham Brahmasmi takes lifetimes. If you understand Aham Brahmasmi, you are not reborn, because there's no need to be. So what is Aham Brahmasmi then that we need to understand?
No, before that, ये जो Upanishads हैं, were they written perhaps at the same time, or were they documented, or the meaning? क्योंकि उपनिषदों में
108 है.
हाँ, तो 108 उपनिषद हैं, 4 वेदों का अलग से हर एक चीज़ का इंटरप्रिटेशन है, फिलोसॉफिकल एक्सप्लेनेशंस हैं, जो परहैप्स बाद में आई हैं. कैन वी इन एनी वे पुट अ टाइम फ्रेम टू इट कि कब उपनिषद लिखे गए थे?
There's no time frame. I'll tell you why. First of all, they are revelations.
Upanishads are also revelations?
Yes, because everything in the Shruti is a revelation. The Shrutis are revelations. Upanishads especially. So what they're about 108 of them, and they are scattered throughout the Vedas. In all of them. They're not only in one Veda. They're in different Vedas. And they're scattered in different parts of the Veda. You'll find this bit of wisdom. It's sort of like, to give you an example, in the Mahabharata, the huge big Mahabharata, which is more than 1 lakh shlokas, there are 700 shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita. Right? They're within the Mahabharata. But that Bhagavad Gita is giving you the whole philosophy that the Mahabharata is showing you in action. So it's the philosophy behind the action. So similarly, the Upanishads are the philosophy behind the Karma Kand.
Okay.
Why you have that Karma Kand, why you're doing all that is, and all that whole philosophy in 108 of them are trying to get you to understand who you are. This phrase, Aham Brahmasmi, it's a Mahavakya, which means Aham Brahma Asmi, which means I am Brahman. So who is Brahman? Brahman is that power of existence. It's not male nor female. It's not a deity. Brahman is just the power of existence. The Atman, the consciousness, pure consciousness is what you call, the awareness of the universe. That by which this whole universe exists. So it's existence itself, you can call it. So if you say, I don't believe in God, you can't say, I don't believe in my existence. Obviously you exist, right? So you can't say, I don't believe in existence. That existence is the Vedic concept of God. See, God is not a good word to use for it, because immediately when you say God, you're thinking of a deity. You're thinking of an image. But that's not what Brahman is. Brahman is just the power of the universe. Just imagine it as that. Now, this power of the universe has a manifesting capability.
Hmm.
Now, you know, in science, they say E is equal to mc squared, which means like all matter
Mhm.
comes from energy.
Mhm.
Energy transformed is equal to matter, basically. And that's very similar to what Vedanta is saying. Saying there is the power of existence, and from this power of existence materializes everything in the universe. Every single thing. So the sun, the moon, everything comes from. And what is that power of, how does it happen? Through the manifesting power is called Maya. So Brahman is the unmanifest power, Maya is the manifesting power. So we are all here because of Maya, because of the manifesting power of Brahman.
Okay.
Is it sounding really complicated?
No, it's not sounding complicated, but
So it's
because
actually quite simple when you break it down.
if you just talk about it, it's quite simple.
Mm.
But when you bring in different elements of it, then
Mm.
it becomes a little complicated. For instance, would Vedantic philosophy or would the Vedas या power of existence से की वजह से ही we see the universe, we see the
Yes.
galaxies and everything. उससे पहले क्या था?
So it's unborn. This power of existence is neither, it doesn't get born and it doesn't die. You can call it Atman. That's another word for this.
Remember वो एक श्लोक होता है ना, श्लोक नहीं मतलब opening lines, और पहले कुछ नहीं था, अंतरिक्ष भी नहीं, आकाश भी नहीं था, छुपा था क्या?
It's from this Brahman that it comes. Everything comes. That power of existence is never not there. There's never non-existence. Let's put it that way. Is
There's
what
never non-existent.
Yes, it's like a double negative there. but yeah.
Because this is these are the questions that perhaps need to be answered.
So this is very difficult to wrap one's head around, like in an instant. It
not
actually takes.
I've been thinking about this topic for a fair amount of time. Just वजह से ये, because if you're thinking about these things from a logical point of view, you have to eventually give up, or you just जैसे what's the name of that movie, Interstellar. Because if you're approaching all of it from the point of view of logic and how you understood rationality and science, you will get defeated and you will ultimately give up because you won't find answer.
You can't find answers to everything.
Yeah, because you're viewing it in the paradigm of what the information, the knowledge that you already have.
Right.
पर उसके अंदर तो जवाब हो गए ना, because let's say we talk about Earth for that matter. ये धरती है, अगर धरती नहीं है तो धरती को धरती बोलने वाले लोग भी नहीं हैं, ठीक?
Right.
या धरती को समझने वाले लोग भी नहीं हैं.
Right.
तो है क्या? So that basic question है, I think that उस question से सब कुछ निकल कर आता है कि अगर कोई चीज़ नहीं है तो उसको नहीं बोलने वाली चीज़ भी नहीं है ना.
सही बात है. Yeah.
तो है क्या?
So this power of existence is one of those things that you have to think of as always there. There's never a time when it started, and there'll never be a time when it ends. And that actually Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita very clearly. He says there's never a time when I wasn't in existence. And when he says I, he's talking about himself as Brahman. He's not talking about himself as Krishna Vasudeva. He's talking about himself as a spokesperson of that power of existence.
Cosmic voice.
Yes, the cosmic voice. So this is never a time when that ultimate existence, supreme reality of life, the reality behind life, let's put it that way. And I'm trying to find different ways of expressing what is unexpressible. Because if you think that's a power which has neither form, it's nor qualities. So it's nirgun nirakar, that form. So how do you describe that? How do you describe something which doesn't have qualities? Very difficult. It's not like male, female, big, small. It is actually vast. It's infinite. It's Purnam.
But
it's
since perhaps during some point in the conversation you made a mention of how the world perhaps operates in duality. But is Brahman
Dual.
dual?
So there's always a debate. See, the way our shastras are, they don't have like strict rules. They will not tell you. You will not find in the shastras, do this, do that.
Hold on.
This is
If they are not, strict on कि यही करना है वो नहीं करना, how about the Vedanta? Are they the final word?
No, but they are also not rules. See, none of our shastras are telling you what to do. They are guiding you of how to think. What you do is then it comes out of how you think. And that you see in the Bhagavad Gita.
So Bhagavad Gita then becomes an example of how to implement that Vedantic philosophy,
Yes.
or Mahabharata is an example of
Both.
both?
In fact, Ramayana also.
Okay.
The only reason why Mahabharata and Ramayana were composed was to teach us how we can implement that philosophy in our daily lives. And why do you need to implement that philosophy? We say, why do we need to? Because that philosophy will give you peace of mind. Sukh and Shanti.
Okay.
If you want Sukh and Shanti, you have to change your way of thinking. You cannot be, wrapped up in, as I said, thinking about just stuck in the here and now.
So
You have to think of yourself as more than your mind and body. That's what it is.
Our value systems,
Yeah.
our everything that we've been taught to act in a certain way, are interpretations of the Vedantic philosophy?
To some extent, but not always. And the main thing that comes out of Vedanta is dharma, the concept of dharma. Now, unfortunately, that is a totally misunderstood concept today.
Now, before we jump to that, is there some way to define के Vedantic philosophy के सबसे बड़े proponent कौन थे और उससे कब आया कब गया? That we're talking about it in 2025.
The Vedic philosophy is like thousands and thousands of. We do not know when it started. Actually, the Rig Veda, we do not know. We cannot date it. We do not know when it happened. We know it's thousands of years old.
But is there any way to find it कि पहली copy Rig Veda?
No. See, it wasn't written. It was oral.
It was oral, but first documented version of it.
No, it was written much later. It was put to writing much later. Right.
But can we put a date or at least phase or years or centuries?
Of when it was written?
When it was written.
Well, it was compiled by the Vedas were all like scattered.
Yeah.
Now, then Ved Vyas, who actually did a lot of good work, amazing work, he put them in, organized them. He compiled, that's why he's called Ved Vyas. That means the compiler of the Veda.
Okay.
So he arranged them into, this 4 different books and all that. So, yeah, you could say maybe from that point. Okay. And that would be like, he's the same vintage as the Mahabharata at that time. So Mahabharata, if you say, is 5,000 years old. So I mean, if you have to give a date.
Okay.
I mean, these are not, the date is not important, actually.
I absolutely understand that. But the date in none of these things, I mean, this is comparing knowledge with wisdom. There's no...
It's timeless.
It's timeless. You can't be putting a date around it. But the reason I want to put a date around it is to understand the sense, when did human civilization start thinking about these things? And in such a way that years on, I mean, if we put around 5,000, we are 7,000 years later, we are still grappling with the same issues, and we are going back to the same document that we have perhaps gone back to.
Which is why it's Sanatana Dharma. That is the meaning of Sanatana Dharma.
Now, Sanatana Dharma, we've understood that through our conversation here, that Brahman is formless, imageless, no idols. It's just philosophy. It's a way to be happy, in your words, for Sukh and Shanti, right? The expression, or when did idols come into picture? Or when did
much
deities
later.
come?
Actually, that also we don't know. See, our civilization is so ancient that it's very hard to say when what happened. Now, if you look at this...
because it's also... the one way to address my question is also the fact that ours has been a continuing civilization.
Continuing civilization for thousands of years.
And as a consequence of it, whenever there have been any invasions, any attack on our value systems, what we've essentially done is, fundamentally we've been bound to the Vedas, but we've always kept, iterations and reiterations have been brought in to ensure that the self-correction keeps on happening, but the foundation stays intact. Which is why Arya Samaj becomes a great example of this. When the invaders or when the Christian missionaries were attacking our faith system on the exploitation by certain people, or the difference in economic capacities and capabilities and the opportunities also, and our value systems were being attacked on multiple fronts, then from the very same value system of the Vedantic philosophy comes in Swami Dayanand Saraswati, who argues that let's go back to the Vedas.
Yes.
They are the ultimate word.
Yes.
Let's go back to the Vedas.
Yes.
If somebody objects to your idol worship, don't convert to Christianity or Islam. Go back to the Vedas. Because perhaps how idol worship began, a lay Hindu man or woman may not be able to understand the reason why idols and deities exist.
Yeah.
And since now you're being attacked, you are not able to explain to the attackers.
Yeah.
And there's a way out. Go back to the Vedas.
Actually, this whole topic is covered in Bhagavad Gita, because Arjun asked this question. He asks exactly this. He says that you've talked about this power being formless, nirgun, nirakar, and then you also say that it can be sagun, sakar, with form, right? So which is better? He asked this question. And Sri Krishna says that it's not which one is better. It's the way you approach it, your mind that's important, your heart, your devotion. That is what's important. But he does say there are like 5 ways of you can worship. He says the highest way is also the most difficult, and very few people can do it, is nirgun nirakar upasana. It's not even upasana, it's dhyan. That means you're not worshipping, you don't have any idols, you don't have anything, you're just one with that power, communing with that power, maybe in samadhi or whatever. But that is the highest form of it. It's very difficult to do. Because can you actually sit and concentrate on just like a formless nothing? Very hard. Very few people can do that. So that is the highest. The next one step down from that is still formless, but with qualities. So at least you can focus on the qualities. The Vishwarupa, that Vishwarupa darshan. So there are certain qualities. But the third way is the most common. That is sagun sakar. That means you're thinking of that same formless power. The power is not changed. It's the same Brahman. But instead of forming like a relationship with that power as unmanifest, you create an idol, you have an Ishta Devata, and that Ishta Devata then has qualities. Like if it's Sri Krishna, then he was naughty as a child, he stole butter, he did all these leelas, right? Then you have bhakti towards that Ishta Devata. You may do, like you may feed him before you eat, all that. That is the third form, third level. Then if you say, okay, fine, I can't even do that. You're not at that level to do that. Then Sri Krishna says, okay, then do nishkama karma. You just don't worry about doing all this. You just do your regular duties, but do it unselfishly, without a desire, right? Now, that's also hard. As you said, that we do have desires and we do have goals. So every human being can't just say, listen, I will work, but I won't have any desire to achieve. Desire to achieve is a very intrinsic quality in most of us.
Yep.
So he says, okay, there's a 5th level. That everybody can do. You chase your desires, you work, but do it with ethics. That we can do. Everybody can do that. So if you're making money, you're running a business, say. You run your business. You want to be a multimillionaire. You work towards being a multimillionaire. but do it ethically. You know, that's what he says.
Mhm.
So there is a level for everybody.
Mhm.
So there's no one level that is good for everyone. Like
So where does deity worship come in? Where does idol
so
worship come
idol
in?
worship is basically to help people anchor their minds on something.
Mhm.
It's very difficult to not have something to focus on.
Mhm.
So if you are a Shiv Bhakt, it's so easy, much easier actually, if you say, okay, I'm going now to Kashi, and I'm going to go there, and I'm going to worship the Shivling there, or whatever.
Mhm.
That is so much easier than just saying, I'm going to sit here and commune with the same Lord Shiva, but as formless.
Mhm.
Because the moment you do this kind of worship, there are certain rituals involved. It gives you something to do. There's certain karma involved in it.
Mhm.
So that karma breaks it down, makes it easy for you to follow. So that's where idol worship comes in. An idol is just a symbol
Mhm.
of that divine power. See, that divine power is one.
Mhm.
There's no separate consciousness. There's no Muslim consciousness, Christian consciousness, Hindu consciousness. Consciousness is one, existence is one. So that's where the phrase Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam comes. It comes from there, from the Maha Upanishads actually.
Mhm.
This phrase, it means the world is a family. Why? Because we are all ultimately born from that same power, the same Brahman. You call it whatever you like, doesn't matter what you call it, but we are all from that same power. Therefore, we are all related. Like if you're from the same parents, you'll say that we are siblings, we're related. So that's why Aham Brahmasmi, if you understand yourself as that power, your
Or
whole
manifestation
thinking
of
will,
some form or anything of that
yes,
large power.
everything is
everything
that.
flows.
All your behavior will change. I'll tell you why. Because you will not look at the like plants and trees or whatever. You will look at them also as having certain divinity.
Mhm.
So then you won't go and do mass deforestation, destroy the environment. You won't do those things.
But what then? Because, and I understand, matlab, हमने ना, I think the second we started our conversation, we dove
Into it.
very deep into it.
Head first.
Because we are talking about everything philosophy and not touching about anything about the book or
Huh.
Arjun, Krishna and Samvad
Right.
also. But see, we are in 2025, expecting the entire world to understand that they are in some way part or a manifestation of Brahman does not seem feasible, at least in 2025.
True.
Our civilization has been facing a lot of onslaughts. Um, the Abrahamic faiths perhaps don't work and operate in that way.
Mm.
So, expecting over 700 crore of us to accept Brahman and the Vedantic philosophy does not seem um, feasible, at least in near future. Uh, now,
And actually, that's not the objective.
but that may not be the objective. The question then becomes that you're expecting some people to operate with this um, fundamentals or this point of view, and there is a large, significantly large proportion of people who do not
Subscribe to it.
subscribe or even would want
Yeah.
to avoid this thought process.
Right.
So, how does one operate in this scenario?
So that's why I wrote the book. Actually, that's the reason. Because what this book does is that it breaks down how you can apply this thinking in your everyday life to make yourself happy. Again, the goal is in the end happiness. So, like chapter 1, my first chapter is we all need to understand that everybody faces adversity in life. There's not a single person who's born who's never been through any hardship. Something you've had in life, that life throws curveballs at you. You know, it could be illness, it could be finances, it could be relationships, it could be whatever. But you will have hardships in life. That is the first lesson we all need to learn. see, what happens is, we all know this theoretically, but actually, when something wrong happens to you, what is our thinking? Usually, our thinking is, poor me, why did this happen to me? And the feeling is one of isolation and victimhood. It's like I'm the only one who has this problem. No, it happened with me. I have a son who's autistic. And for a long time before I came to Vedanta, I used to always think, why did this happen to me? Why I was so careful when I was expecting him. I didn't even eat Chinese food because of MSG. And then how did this happen? I didn't drink tea and coffee, didn't go near the microwave, because I used to feel that all these might have an effect. But it happened. Now, that kind of thinking, where I used to think that I'm a victim, that somehow life has been unfair to me, that is not an empowered way of thinking. So instead of that, if we think that, okay, fine, and this has happened, but now what can I do about it? Right? Change one's thinking. Instead of wallowing in grief, there's always something you can do. There's always a way out. You may not be able to solve the problem, but if a door shuts, a window opens. One has to be able to recognize that. So the first thing in life is to realize that that everybody has some suffering. So if you have a difficulty, you are not being singled out to suffer. Just understanding that takes away a lot of anxiety. It's strange to say, but it does. It's like you go to a doctor, and you say, I have these symptoms, and the doctor says, no, don't worry. So many people have come to me; they have the same problem. Immediately you feel, acha, theek hai, then it's okay. If so many people have it, then tell me, do you not feel a relief?
I think COVID के time पे यही हो रहा था कि वो everybody has.
Everybody has it, then you're not worried. But if the doctor tells you, oh no, I've never seen anybody with this, pata nahi, I don't know, this is a very strange thing.
Well, your
anxiety level will be.
This is exactly how cancer has been unfolding.
Yes.
So cancer.
Now people don't worry. I had cancer.
So people.
It's like it's finished. It's not like something you stress about.
You got to fight it.
You fight it and you deal with it. But see, there's a lot of comfort in internalizing certain things. So this concept of understanding that yes, everybody suffers at some point. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's explained that summer and winter come and go. They come, they touch you, and they go. And it's a never-ending cycle. If you're happy now, it doesn't mean you won't be sad tomorrow. Tomorrow you may be sad. Day after you'll be happy again. I'm just saying that this is a cycle. We need to get used to it. Our problem is we want that happiness to never end. We don't want to deal with sorrow. We say, why have I... It's fine when happiness comes, but the moment a sorrow comes, why did this happen? It happened because it's inevitable. It's going to happen. And we are socialized wrong actually from childhood because we are taught that you must have the perfect life, you must have the perfect grades in school, right? You must grow up to find the perfect job, you must find the perfect partner, you must have the perfect children, and everything in your life must be absolutely wonderful. And then any part of it is not, and then we fall apart, right? But that's our own wrong expectation. If you are taught from childhood, yes, you worked it, but you will have difficulties. And when difficulties come, keep your head calm. This is not a teaching that we are ever given. We are taught you must achieve.
Then, but how does one... So, Shruti पढ़ने का तरीका क्या होना चाहिए?
You can't really study the Shruti easily like that because you need a guru, or you need to listen to lectures of gurus. Now nowadays you can't go and sit. Ideally, that's the best way. Go to a gurukul, sit at the feet of a knowledgeable guru, and that's how it used to be.
But how does one find those gurukuls?
But no,
is it
YouTube?
YouTube.
YouTube has all the gurus you want. No, seriously, all these.
You've written in your
yes, that's how I learned. Ramakrishna Mission, Chinmayanand Mission, Arsha Vidya, so many, and very learned, very knowledgeable gurus.
So we're all got to become a little of Eklavya.
You just need to be interested in it. It just and interested in it not to abdicate your life and go away into the mountains. Nowhere does it say that. It says you do your day job. You do everything normally. It doesn't mean you have to give up the good things in life. Okay, now I'm studying Bhagavad Gita, so no, I can't go to a nice restaurant and eat. I can't buy that nice purse that I want. No, you can do everything. It's just that you don't do it in a way that it causes you anxiety. So just think in life, if you have a strong desire for something, and you can't live without it, then that thing is controlling you, no? You're a puppet then. It could be a thing, it could be a person also. Whatever it is.
So essentially, in order to gain that wisdom from the Vedanta philosophy as well as from the Upanishads, one has to primarily, the best way is to find a guru and get on his feet, sit on his feet and understand and take that wisdom, extract as much of wisdom as you can, perhaps from him or her, and then go on to your own path of that self-discovery. That is one primary way to do it.
Not possible nowadays.
Not possible nowadays because
we don't have gurukuls.
We don't have gurukuls. But is it possible in all these ashrams, in many ashrams in India?
You don't need an ashram. See, that is the beauty of it. You don't need an ashram. I'm not saying you shouldn't go to an ashram if that's your calling. Go if you feel like. But that's not necessary.
I did not mean that you have to go to a sannyas. What I meant, the question essentially was aimed at कि क्या इस देश के अंदर अभी भी ऐसे कुछ गुरुकुल बच रहे हैं
जहाँ ये सीख सकते हैं,
जहाँ पर ये व्यक्ति कोई भी सीखना चाहे वो सीख सकता है,
वो घर बैठे सीख सकते हैं
अगर YouTube
you don't have to go to ashram, घर बैठे हम सीख सकते हैं.
Do you think this was perhaps designed by all our gurus also कि भाई the best way to reach out to larger people who are so absorbed in this pursuit of Maya कि उन shackles को तोड़ने का यही तरीका है कि perhaps utilize this Maya and reach out to them.
Yeah, exactly.
That is how YouTube
Yes, you can. So basically, what you're saying is that if your goal is you want to make money, yes, make money. It doesn't tell you not to.
This reminds me of there's a gentleman called Sanjay Kapoor, who were Comma Star या Comstar है.
I don't
very big in automobile manufacturing.
Okay.
He's sadly no more. Died in a freak accident while playing polo. It is said that while he was playing polo.
Oh yes. I heard. I heard about that.
Karishma Kapoor's ex-husband.
Yes. I heard. Now I know who you're talking.
So
about.
I remember I was having this conversation with him, and he did not seem like somebody who would be, involved or interested in Vedantic philosophy or anything of that sorts, because the perception that you usually get is from the newspapers and media reports. And it was during one of these conversations that he said that every Thursday or Wednesday, he and his wife, they sit with a guru and learn Vedantic lessons and Bhagavad Gita he's been teaching.
Yes.
So it's very interesting that I found that it was a casual chat with them, and I was telling him, in fact, in one conversation, I also made a point on how Arjun and Sanjay were the only two people who
listened
to Bhagavan Shri Krishna.
That's actually true.
And
actually, he's your namesake.
Arjun, very interesting.
And actually, it's an interesting name because you know what it means? It comes from Arjavam. Okay. And Arjun means someone who's straightforward.
Okay.
That's what it means. It means someone who's straightforward, Siddha, not crooked.
Not crooked.
So
there's a lot of people that you out there must understand.
So you have a wonderful name.
Thank you very much. Now, rolling back a bit, I think many people, and you've documented this very well, and I think it's important for people out there to read this section also, because the modern generation hai, with the onslaught of the Western education, it's very difficult to attribute the success of many scientists and thinkers on Vedantic philosophy, to Vedantic philosophy. But you've documented this in your preface, how physicists, thinkers, they've spoken highly of Vedantic philosophy.
People outside India, actually.
People outside
we
India.
Don't appreciate it here.
And there's one important, I think it was Voltaire, na?
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that everything that has come down to us from the banks of the Ganges astronomy, astrology,
Yes.
metapsychosis, etc., it is very important to note that some 2500 years ago, at the least, Pythagoras went from Samos to the Ganges to learn geometry. But he would certainly not have undertaken such a strange journey had the reputation of the Indian science not been long established in Europe.
True.
So it's just that with this large onslaught of Western studies, academia, science, and so on and so forth, many a times, and it's a consequence of the same, कि आज लोग उसको उस रेवरेंस से देख भी नहीं पा रहे हैं, समझ भी नहीं पा रहे हैं, and as a consequence पढ़ना ज़रूरी भी नहीं
Yeah.
समझ रहे.
Yeah.
Handing over Bhagavad Gita to a 16 or 17-year-old child would not have felt as alien perhaps 200 years ago as it feels today. कि 14 वर्ष के किसी बच्चे को आज भगवद गीता पकड़ाओगे
People will say, "What are you doing?
What are
You're
you doing?
making him like think of sannyas."
हाँ, or in a direction that perhaps
Yeah,
his parents or guardians would not
Yeah.
want him. पर मुझे विश्वास है कि आज से 250-300 वर्ष पहले that would have been a very normal thing, और शायद 7-8 वर्ष की उम्र से ही पढ़ाना शुरू कर दिया जाता होगा.
Bilkul. It's the essential thing in the Gurukuls was this Atma Gyan. It's called Atma Gyan. It's knowledge of yourself, knowledge of who you are. And I'll just explain this a bit because it's very relevant. See, as human beings, all creatures actually, animals also, we have two levels to us. One is the mind and body, which is what you see. The other is what you don't see, which is the divine aspect in everything, which is the Atma, right? So you have the same Atma as I, because I'm like a non-dual, so I will say you have the same Atma. The dualists say that, Bhagwan is different from, they believe in duality, but I'm not, so I will put it on this way. The same Atma is there in all of creation, right? That is, but the difference between, what is the difference between, say, an animal and a human being? If you think about it, they say like aharam, which is food, nidra, which is sleep, and maithunam, which is procreation, is common to animals and human beings. We're both involved in the same thing. These activities happen at the level of mind and body. Now, the difference between humans and animals is that though animals also have the same Atman, they are also actually the same divinity. They are all equally divine. But they don't have the ability to understand their divinity. We have. That means we can function at two levels. One is at the basic level of mind and body, which is a very selfish level. It is a level of just me and mine. Let me be as happy and please this body and mind. Or you can function at your higher level, which is the level of the Atman. That only humans can do. Like an animal can never do that. Animals act on instinct. So if like a tiger sees an injured calf, it will zero in on that injured calf. It's not going to think. It's not going to think, oh, poor thing, it's injured. Maybe I shouldn't kill it. I should help it. That thought will not even cross its mind. It acts on instinct. I'm hungry, calf is injured, food. That's all it's thinking. And human beings, we have a higher intelligence, the ability, the buddhi, to be able to discern action.
Why do they exist then?
Why do animals exist? Well, everybody is at different levels of karmic evolution, right? Everybody is at different. We've all been through many bodies. We've all been through those animal bodies.
The
to
soul
come
never
here.
dies.
No, you've been through animal bodies too. So it's only after many births that we finally got this human body. And the human body is special only because it allows you to understand your inner divinity. Now, if you understand, and why do you need to understand your inner divinity? Because if you understand your inner divinity, you will live at a higher level than animals. It's when, people who do just
Is it
awful
possible that if you understand your inner divinity, that the next birth, and I'm assuming that you're not attained moksha, is it possible the next birth also you'll be a human?
Sure. So because that's what it is.
One way,
it's a school.
One objective of this entire pursuit could be that even if you don't want to attain moksha, it's possible that the next birth you could be human?
No, you will be.
But
Because
that's what that
you
could be one
see,
goal.
I'll tell you, because the whole purpose of life is to understand your inner divinity. This human form, the reason why we are born as human is so that we can eventually understand our inner divinity.
So it's an opportunity.
So it's an opportunity. So if you don't use that opportunity, you can actually go back to the animal form. I'm giving an example. If you are sort of a very cruel person, you hurt other people, you torture people, you kill people for your own selfish needs. You do this. Then what happens? You're not living based on your inner divinity. You're living at what level? At your animal level. So if you're living at that mind and body level, then you might as well go back and re-experience. So you will be put back into an animal body. You will not be put into a human body. But if you do progress, and actually this is also answered in the Gita. Arjun asked this question. He asks all the questions that you're asking. So he says, you're talking about this spiritual path. He says, what if they don't make any progress? Then what's going to happen to me? If I don't make it. What Sri Krishna says is that every little step that you take in the right direction yields you results, disproportionately high results. So he says you will be eventually, when you're reborn, you will be born at a level to take off from where you left off.
Okay.
So if you are a very kind person, a very spiritual person, a person who does Lok Kalyan.
The attributes we are going to discuss perhaps at the closing of the session.
So if you are that kind of person, then you will not be born as in an animal body, because the animal body is not going to help you progress further. Like in school, if you do brilliantly in class 8, they're not going to demote you to class 7. You are going to go to class 9. But if you do badly, then what happens? You have to go back and learn that curriculum again. So then you go back to class 7 if you've not done well in class 8. So life is the same. If you don't do well in this human body, then you have to go back to a lesser body, an animal body. And not that it's lesser in any other way other than the fact that it doesn't allow you to understand your inner divinity. Because the goal is that. The goal is to understand that you are divine. Inside you're divine. So nobody is evil, actually. Inside nobody is evil. We are evil only in our mind and body. So at the mind and body level...
At the Maya level, we are evil.
Yes. At the Brahman level, nobody is evil. Evil doesn't exist at that level. It's neither good nor evil, actually. It just is.
It just is.
It just is. Isness.
Isness.
It's the isness of the universe. So
you made a mention in your first chapter repeatedly of Vedantic philosophy and Adi Shankaracharya. For the sake of our audience, and before I ask the next question, what is the significance of Adi Shankaracharya ji in this entire debate?
Now, he was fantastic, because not that he invented all this, but he spread it. And he wrote commentaries on the Upanishads. So he chose 10 Upanishads to write extensive commentaries on. And those are the top 10, which I have mentioned in...
Are they top 10 because he wrote the commentaries on?
Yes.
Okay.
They're not because they're... See, all the Upanishads say the same thing.
108 Upanishads.
They all say the same thing. Okay. That you are divine.
Okay.
You have to, that's all they say.
Different ways.
Different ways of telling you to understand that you are divine. Aham Brahmasmi. They're all trying to teach you that same lesson. But there are 10 of them which Adi Shankaracharya chose as the best examples to explain that philosophy. So those are the top, considered today, the top 10. So if you even study one of them, you can understand all of them. Because they all say the same thing, right? From different ways, in different ways and from different angles. But they all say the same thing. So yeah, the Upanishads and the greatness of the Bhagavad Gita is it compiles the entirety of Vedic knowledge, the entirety of that, into 700 shlokas. So think of all those 108, whatever that 108 is trying to teach you is all there in 700
Do you think this
shlokas.
is also a mark of a degrading society of ours? That the vast knowledge that we had and we were exposed to, with every passing year or every passing generation, उसको compress form में करे जा रहे हैं कि वो नहीं कर सकते तो ये कर लो, ये नहीं समझ सकते तो इतना समझ लो, इतना नहीं समझ सकते तो इतना समझ लो. Do you think this is perhaps that direction that we are heading to? Because आज से 100-110 वर्ष पहले, and I've been working on this topic for some time, which begs this question, that perhaps 120 years ago, our greatest philosophers, from our greatest saints or people who were spearheading our nationalist hyphen spiritual discourse would swear by Upanishads, would swear by our Vedas.
And today we don't want to talk about it.
And today there is absolutely no discussion in any of our discourses, any of our school curriculums. And I see this mostly in our public debates now, books as well, that the only writings that we see that are perhaps getting popular or are easier to consume are Bhagavad Gita, are Mahabharata and Ramayana. This also is telling, and I think it's perhaps a sign of that degrading society कि हमने अपना सारा वो जो ज्ञान था, हमारे ऋषि मुनि, guides, mentors, people like you.
Don't put me in that high. I'm not anything there, but yeah.
May not be there if you consider so. But that you're telling the story, it is not possible unless you've really dove deep into the subject. And since you have, it becomes, and that is how essentially everybody becomes a writer, because then it becomes the responsible. It becomes you, and then it's the story that's itching to get out.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that is how books take shape.
Yeah.
तो क्योंकि इतना सारा जो ब्रह्म ज्ञान था वो नहीं ले पा रहे लोग, तो ये तो पढ़ लो.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is perhaps
that's my objective. See, this is first of all nothing to do with religion. That's the first thing I want to say. It doesn't matter whether you follow religion or whatever religion.
Is it got to do with dharma?
But dharma is not religion.
I understand.
It's 100% to do with dharma.
But not with religion.
Not to do with religion. Because what dharma is, let me define that. Dharma is the right thing to do in a situation which is for the general good. That is dharma. Dharma has got nothing to do with religion. So the right thing to do in a situation which is for the general good applies to you regardless of whether you follow religion or not, or what religion you follow. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
It is, right? It's a universal thing. It is a human thing. It's got nothing to do with religion. That is the whole purpose of the Bhagavad Gita, actually, and of Vedanta, and the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The whole Mahabharata is to teach you what is dharma and what is adharma. That's the purpose of the Mahabharata. In fact, that's why it's called the fifth Veda. You know, Mahabharata is called the fifth Veda.
Yes.
It's called the fifth Veda because it has like umpteen examples, countless examples of dharma and adharma. And it shows you how sometimes thinking we're being dharmic, we're actually being very adharmic. And there's a very interesting story, I'll tell you that. It's a short story to explain this. Shri Krishna tells this to Arjun when they're talking about this subject of the fact that dharma is what we call dharma is very difficult to pin down because it's not got any strict rules. It changes based on the situation. So long as it's for the general good, overall good. So he gives the story, he says there's a sadhu called Kaushik who's sitting by the riverside. And he's just sitting there meditating or thing. And suddenly he sees there's a man running. And behind him he's being chased by these robbers. And this poor man goes, he's running and he's panting and he hides behind a tree. And the robbers come and they see the sadhu and they ask him, have you seen a man going here? So now the sadhu thinks in his mind, I am a sadhu, I should always tell the truth, I must never lie. So he says, yes, he's gone there, he's behind that tree. So these robbers go, they steal his stuff, and they kill him. Now, what is the moral of the story here? What is Krishna trying to say? He says that, sometimes lying is dharma and telling the truth becomes an adharma. In this case, in this situation, for the general good, this sadhu should have lied. Because lying was of higher value in this case than telling the truth. So one should not be stuck in morality, because morality is something that, first of all, morality has rigid rules, but dharma doesn't have rigid rules. Dharma is something that you have to think and apply. You have to have buddhi to be dharmic. You have to actually exercise your intelligence. Now, this sadhu didn't exercise his intelligence. So he just stuck with the rule, I must always tell the truth. So he tells the truth, which causes such a wrong to happen, wrongdoing to happen. And he was part of that wrongdoing.
He can't alienate himself from the consequence.
So yes. So the idea is here that
process.
The concept of dharma, or you call it dharma in Hindi, dharma is something that is very flexible. But now people can misuse it also, because then they say, I broke the rules, but then, I did it because... No, it's for what works for not your good, but for paropkar, for lok kalyan, for bahujan hit. Then if you break the rules, then it is dharma. But if you're breaking the rules because you want to succeed, then it's adharma only.
But who is to judge? Is there somebody outside going to judge, or you?
You are your judge and jury. And that's one thing in our Shastras. There is no outside judge. You judge yourself at every minute. And you bear the consequences also. Which is why in the Bhagavad Gita...
Are there consequences in the Maya, the Maya world?
Yeah, it could be any time. You know how they explain it? There's a very nice shloka on this. It says that the karma is your consequences will find you just as a calf finds its mother amongst 1,000 cows. So you'll put 1,000 cows, that calf will go straight and find its mother, and it'll only drink milk from its mother. Similarly, karma will find you no matter where. You can run, but you can't hide. So are you saying, does it happen within this lifetime? Maybe, maybe not. But it will find you. If not in this lifetime, maybe in another lifetime. But it will find you. You cannot escape the consequence of your actions. So like in case of Dashrath, if you remember, he faced the consequence in his current lifetime. He killed that boy while he was hunting, right? That young boy. So what happens? He loses his son and he dies of sorrow. Similarly, just as the parents died in sorrow when he killed that boy. So then he got the karma in the current lifetime. Actually, if you get it in your current lifetime, it's considered a good thing because it's done with. But we don't always have that luxury.
So, see, then it begs the question, in ek taraf, the pursuit is away from the world of Maya. Or getting away, breaking those shackles of the world that is Maya, and to achieve the status or go towards
to understand yourself as a higher being.
And at the same time, your actions as well as consequences are both in the world of Maya.
Right.
But the pursuit is for the higher self.
Yes.
There's no judge and jury. The karma has to find you.
Yeah.
Who energizes, empowers, directs or misdirects karma? Does karma flow from Brahman, or does karma flow from the world of Maya?
It flows from you. Directly from you. So, to explain it a little better, what happens is we are in this world, we're doing all sorts of things. All the things that we're doing that affect other people, not brushing your teeth and things like that, but whatever you do, how you talk to people, how you behave with people, whether you're ethical. All that action generates a consequence. You're collecting that. You have collected these consequences throughout all your lifetimes, right? And there's a big bag on your back called Sanchita Karma. Now, when you die and you become disembodied, you're still there. You don't just disappear. You're still there. But you're there as in an unmanifest form. Then, from that unmanifest form, you have to get rid of that Sanchita Karma, right? On your back. So you choose certain karmas. You can't choose all of them for a lifetime. Now you say, how long do you have to choose? That nobody can say. It can be 1 minute, it can be 1,000 years. It could be anything. But you do choose what you want to experience out of that bag, what you want to exhaust. Actually, that is a good word, exhaust. Because once you experience it, it's gone. You've exhausted it. Now, you come into a body which helps you. That is called your prarabdha karma, what you choose to experience in this lifetime. That is an arrow that has left the quiver. So it will happen. So that's destiny. You see, that is where destiny comes in. So that
Prarabdha karma.
Prarabdha karma is your destiny in this lifetime. And that will happen because it's already set in motion. Prarabdha means it's already started. You can't put toothpaste back in the tube, right? It's already out. So that's prarabdha karma. And that prarabdha karma forms our destiny. But where we have a choice is in how we handle that karma. You don't have a choice of the karma, but you have a choice in how you handle the karma. So the example given is it's like a cow. If you can imagine a cow tied to a peg, and it has a long rope. Now, it can go within the radius of that rope. That's all it can do. That rope is its prarabdha karma. But within that radius of the rope, it has many choices. It can either sit doing nothing, just right by that peg and chew the cud. Or it can go a little further and graze. Or it can stretch itself to the end of its rope for the juicy grass. And then maybe, the rope might get loosened a bit because if it's going on stretching itself. But it has all these choices. But the choices are limited within the circumstances. It's like a curriculum in a school. You have a set curriculum, but how you study for that curriculum, that's up to you. You have that independence.
In terms of karma, the question emanates from many things that are perhaps happen in your daily life. The way you choose to react to any situation, say any cuss word thrown at you, or somebody doing office politics, or somebody trying to be over smart and knowingly hurt you or hurt your plans or damage your objectives. As a person who's at the receiving end of all of it, what should be this person's objective then? How should he or she react?
Handle that.
And in this scenario, this person, the other person who is the perpetrator of any of this, मतलब कोई बुरे से बोल दिया, hurtful बात बोल दी, how should that person, how does it play out for that perpetrator as well?
So you can't control anybody else. We can only control ourselves, right? We have no control over how somebody is going to talk to us. And a lot of times...
But friends, family, relatives...
But you don't have... How can you control? You cannot control. You can tell them.
Expecting control or expecting some restraint from them.
You can expect, but it may not happen. You can expect all day long. The reason why marriages actually break up nowadays, they end in divorce, is because of this expectation. Each one expects the other something of the other person and expects that person to be the way they want them to be. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fair.
And then that doesn't pan out that way. It may happen during courtship. Everybody is like perfect.
Honeymoon phase.
Yeah, but that's exactly why marriages don't. That's why they say that sometimes arranged marriages work better because expectation is not so much. When you fall in love with somebody, you elevate that person to a status that poor things they may or may not be. In your mind. It's not their fault. You have put all these expectations on that person. Right? And when that person doesn't meet those expectations, and both ways, I'm not saying it's only whether it's your male or female is not relevant here. Both sides, you have these false expectations. Then those expectations are not met, then everything comes crumbling down. Right? This used to happen before. I used to get flowers and this, and now no one forgot my anniversary. I'm saying that this is what causes stress.
Common,
It's a common thing. So what actually Vedanta teaches you, and this is how it helps you handle stress, is one of the very practical ways, is that to understand that you cannot control how somebody else behaves. You cannot change anybody's behavior. You cannot control. You can tell them, but there's no guarantee that they're going to do what you want. Otherwise, there would be no problem in the world, right?
But then in this case also.
But now, just because you can't control somebody's behavior, does that mean that you should suffer injustice? No. The answer is no. But you do what you have to do to not suffer injustice, to deal with that.
This is exactly.
But what you can do is to not allow that person to get under your skin. See, because the moment you're giving the keys to your mental peace to someone else. The moment that person has the power to affect you.
But isn't that what love or relationship is about?
No. That's attachment. There's a difference between love and attachment. Love is a very pure emotion. See, most of our relationships today actually more attachment.
Does Shastras talk about love?
They talk about everything. They do talk about everything. See, it's not, most of our relationships today are based on attachment. What is attachment? It's what I'm getting from that person. Not necessarily materially, even emotionally. It's because of that you're attached. And then you become dependent. It's based on dependence. It's not a independent situation where you love this person irrespective. The only one actually that comes close to that is a parent and child. Right? That is, you love your child regardless. Right? But we're not like that with in other relationships. Even between husband and wife, there are expectations. So what Vedanta is trying to tell you is that you have a good relationship, but don't make it a dependence. Don't be dependent on somebody else to give you happiness. Don't expect, I'm giving you the example of flowers, if you think that you will only be happy if you're, this is just a general example. I mean, not to take it in a sexist way. Nowadays, you have to be very careful, please.
Anybody.
But I'm saying, if you expect your husband is going to bring you flowers, right, on your anniversary, but he doesn't, right? This is a wrong expectation. Why are you expecting happiness to come from somebody else? And why are you losing your mental peace if he's forgotten? It's simple, but actually it's true. It's because of false expectation. You're expecting somebody else to make you happy. That's not their job.
So
your job is to be happy and complete within. So if your husband forgets, and you have a good relationship, I'm presuming here that you do understand.
Generally speaking, it's not a targeted me.
No. Generally, like if presuming, then you have to say, okay, fine, he forgot. Don't get bent out of shape because he forgot. It's not the end of the world. Don't take these small things. Don't catastrophize everything in life.
So the issue then becomes is this desire and attachment. And you were telling us that in Vedantic philosophy and Bhagavad Gita, that's perhaps a very strong pillar of this entire conversation, of the Samvad, कि attach nahi hona hai.
Yeah.
Either through an object.
Sangam tyaktva. He says that umpteen times in the Gita.
So
Sangam tyaktva. Sangam is attachment. Tyaktva means leave. Leave attachment.
So leave attachment from people, object.
Not love,
results.
Attachment. Love deeply
but
without attachment.
Even with your end goals,
Yeah.
the pursuit that you're
Pursue it
after,
with full mind without attachment.
without attachment.
Because attachment is negative, actually.
Mhm.
Because with attachment, you become
But isn't
needy.
attachment a good motivation?
Not really. Because you see, attachment then leads you the wrong way. It causes you distress. In the end, it causes you anxiety if you're so attached to something. Just see a simple thing, like you're attached to your cup of tea every day in the morning. Take a simple thing like that. One day you don't get your cup of tea, mood off. Right? Why should it be your mood off? Why should that tea be controlling your mood? Should you be controlling your mood, or should some outside factor be? This is a very basic example.
No, but the basic example is a very good example for many people to even understand this very concept.
Yes.
But again, isn't it a small ask? Because people tend to get attached to their morning cup of tea.
Yeah, that's why they're unhappy.
So that
So I'm trying to say is that, the attitude should be, and this doesn't come overnight, It is by, Arjun says the same thing. He says to Sri Krishna, you're telling me all these things, but to control my mind and, have this samatvam, which is even-mindedness and all this. But the mind is very difficult to control. He says the mind, the language he uses, he says, the mind is more difficult to control than the wind. It's easier to control the wind, and we can't control the wind, but the mind is even more difficult. And you know what Sri Krishna says? It's very interesting. He doesn't say, no, you can do it, and I tell you this is the way to do it, these are the steps. No. He says it is difficult. It's very difficult, but it's not impossible. It can be done, and there are two ways. One is abhyas, which is practice. Small baby steps. One drop of water from a leaky pipe will fill that bucket eventually. So same way, every little effort that we make in this direction yields results. So small steps. So start with the tea. Start with saying, okay, fine, I didn't get the tea, I'll drink water. Or I'll do without it. Or I'll have coffee. Whatever. Don't stress about things. So this is practice. Then go to bigger things.
So that requires one abhyas.
That's one is abhyas. Second one is cultivate a mind of vairagya. Vairagya is detachment, what we've been talking about all this time. And what is detachment? It is not being controlled by outside things. So that's different from love. You see, attachment is when that thing controls you. So I'll give you another example. If you feel that I must have that designer purse, because if I have that designer purse, you're so attached to it because it'll give me a certain status. Not because I like it, not because I can afford it, but because that gives me a certain status. If I'm seen carrying that purse. What has happened now? Your whole identity is gone. You've given it to that purse. So slowly, we can detach ourselves from these. And it doesn't mean, again, that you don't get that purse. Please get that purse if you want it. But not be attached to it, to the point where
it bothers you having sleepless nights.
You are having, and that you feel like incomplete without it.
And that then becomes the responsibility of somebody else also. So a child is perhaps expecting from their father or mother, get me that purse.
Yeah.
Or a wife is expecting from
It can be
the
anything.
husband.
It can be any object.
So then that person ends up, so either you get it yourself, so you're paying yourself, or you're expecting some other person to get it for you.
That's even worse, actually.
So you're taking so you're adding two stages of that stress.
That's even more attachment. You can look at that. And this is a recipe for disappointment, is it not? Now, if you change your mindset, reorient your way of thinking, re-engineer the way you approach life, to say, look how happy you'll be. If you say, I like that purse, nice if I have it, but if I can't have it, that's also okay. Now, who's going to be happier? The person who's saying, I can't live without it, I want it, बस उसको मिलना है, बस उसको लेना है, किसी भी तरह मिलना है उसको.
So that's being attached, and that's the root cause of
That is going to cause
pain.
you unhappiness. And another person who also likes that purse can say, yeah, if I get it, great. If I can't afford it now, that's also okay.
But does it not in some way mean that you're hitting the very foundation of a capitalist culture or Lakshmi?
Capitalist culture, yes. Dharmic culture, no. Because dharma doesn't say that you should not have goals or that you should not aspire to good things.
But goals आते भी तो नई नई चीजें करके हैं नई
But
चीज
capitalism is not always the best.
I'm curious. I'm curious here. So for a Banya friend of mine, having a Ferrari by the age of 22 is a great pursuit for him. He believes that if I'm focused towards a Ferrari and I'm working hard towards it with that goal, and he's attached to it, not that he's not. Like if at 22 he's not able to get a Ferrari but get a Land Rover for himself,
he'll be disappointed.
He'll be fine. Okay, I got a Land Rover but I did not get the Ferrari.
Yeah.
Okay? So he is attached to it. But that object has given him a great goal. He may, and if there's no pursuit, if the larger society is not pursuing that goal itself, कि Ferrari और 100 लोगों को चाहिए, अगर वो नहीं है ऑब्जेक्टिव या वो अटैचमेंट नहीं है उन लोगों की, तब इसके लिए भी वो शायद इतना बड़ा गोल ना रहे.
The whole of advertising works on this principle, na? What do? They create a need in you, which you never had. You see this, especially in the US, I find this.
No, but this
on
is
TV.
This is somehow, now help me understand this, because this becomes some way to describe how human civilization is also growing at a blitzkrieg speed, over the last 200 years.
True.
आज से 200-250 साल पहले वो स्टीम इंजन आया है. और स्टीम इंजन के बाद कितनी स्पीड से दुनिया ने प्रोग्रेस किया है. It's unimaginable,
right?
But all that progress in Vedantic philosophy is the progress that's been done in the world of Maya. See? It's not self-discovery, it's not a pursuit.
Everything that we do here is in the world of Maya, even the spiritual aspect.
Right. So, having these different objects, Ferrari लेनी है या कोई बैग लेना है, becomes a great goal or a motivation for somebody to aspire for and then consequentially work towards.
Right.
अगर उससे detach हो जाता है कोई व्यक्ति,
then they won't do anything, is what you're saying. And society won't go forward.
Yeah.
No, there is a point there. And that's why it's not that you shouldn't work hard or you shouldn't want these things. The idea is not to get so stressed out about them that you ruin your health and your mind.
No,
that is the idea.
But that can happen. Pursuit and being attached to a goal can happen at the same time while you're taking care of health and not being stupidly, societally stressed about it also. उस balance का क्या? That is attainable. That's not something.
It is attainable, and that's fine. If you can keep that balance, that Vedanta doesn't tell you not to want things. It doesn't tell you that.
It tells you not to be attached.
Ideally, that is a stage you progress to. But everybody can't be at that stage, na? We are all on that path, but we are at different levels. If you take the world as a classroom, everybody in this classroom is not in class 12. Some people are in lower KG. Some people are in KG. Some people are in class 1, whatever classroom. Now, the thing is that depending on which level you're at, you will pursue life accordingly. So if you are at a desire-based level, which is not one of the higher levels, but that's there in society, then you function based on that, which is why Sri Krishna says if you are at a desire-based level, you do everything, but do it ethically. Do it ethically, he says, and slowly you will progress. Nothing wrong with that.
And what about this idea which has really picked up in the last 20-25 years, the idea of manifestation? Where does it fall in this entire paradigm?
No, you see, the mind is very powerful. And we don't use our minds to the extent that we could use it. The rishis, what is yoga?
Were the rishis also manifesting in it?
No, but the rishis had this tremendous ability to control their minds. See, mental yoga is mental control. It's
Yep.
not nothing
Yep,
about
yep.
asanas.
Yep.
The asana is only the third level.
Yep.
Right, but the
There's
whole
7,
purpose is the whole purpose of yoga, the ashtang, the path, is to reach that level where you are just thought, or minus thought even, like kevalya, where you're alone with yourself. That is the final level. That is the purpose of the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So the thing is that in terms of you're saying that. What was the question you asked me?
Manifestation. Where
How
does
about
manifestation
Okay,
fall
see,
in the entire
I went on a
paradigm?
tangent and then I forgot the question. So when you reach that level of control, you can actually control things with your mind. So what happens when you're a very high level yogi, certain siddhis come automatically. Powerful siddhis. So you see these rishis, they could do certain things that were unusual. Like, they could expand themselves, like Mahima. Then Laghima, they could reduce themselves. Actually, even Hanumanji had that ability because he was an advanced yogi. So that's how he expands himself to fly across to Lanka.
seas, yeah.
And he also reduces himself to a very tiny size when he's there.
And when he tries to
So that is
Sita
not magic. That is an acquired siddhi that comes automatically with very involved yogic practice. So this manifestation, just to show that the power of the mind, that if you control your mind, you can do that. So this manifestation is an aspect. It can, but I don't know. I haven't tried it myself, so I can't say. But I think if you, in your mind, will something to happen or use your power to make it, it can happen.
No, so
that way.
When it's commonly said कि अगर आप सच्चे शिद्दत से किसी चीज को चाहते हो तो सारी कायनात and the world conspires, the universe conspires.
It'll happen.
Is that somewhere a part of the Vedantic philosophy also?
Your desires will be fulfilled if they are strong enough. And I'll tell you how. May not be in this lifetime, but whatever you really want, you will automatically work towards and you will get. And the example given here is in the Mahabharata, actually, the story of Amba. You know the story of Amba. Amba wanted to be the cause of Bhishma's death.
Okay.
And you know why, right?
No.
Oh, the Amba story is wonderful. Do you have time? I'll tell you say it quickly.
Please.
So Amba was a princess of Kashi. So there were 3 sisters, Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika. So at their Swayamvar, Amba was in love with a guy called Shalva, the king of Shalva.
Okay.
And they were lovers, and she had planned to garland him at the Swayamvara. He was invited, and it was all set that she was going to garland him, and they would be getting married. Now Bhishma comes and messes it all up because he comes to the Swayamvara not for himself, but to get brides for his brother Vichitra Virya, who was a useless fellow. So that's why he didn't come himself. So Bhishma comes there and he kidnaps these 3 girls. He takes them by force in his chariot and goes off. And Shalva follows in hot pursuit because he wants to recover Amba. But nobody can defeat Bhishma. So when they stop and Bhishma fights with him and Bhishma defeats him, which was expected because Bhishma was Bhishma. And then he takes them back to Hastinapur. When they reach there, Amba says, "Listen, why did you do this? I'm not interested in marrying your brother because I'm in love with Shalva. And now, we were going to get married at this Swayamvara because I was going to garland him." So Bhishma says, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. Oops, my mistake." And then he says, "Okay, what I'll do is I'll send you there. You go to Shalva. If you're in love with him, there's no reason you should marry my brother. I didn't know this, but I'll send you there." So he arranges a very nice chariot for her and sends her off. So she goes there expecting to marry Shalva. But when she reaches, Shalva says, "Listen, I can't marry you now. I don't want you. Because I was defeated by Bhishma, and as a Kshatriya, if I've been defeated, then I've been defeated. So now I'm not marrying you. So now you go marry Bhishma." So this is what Shalva says. Then she's obviously heartbroken. So she comes to Bhishma and she says, "Now you've messed up my life. Now you marry me." And Bhishma says, listen, I can't marry you because I have taken this pratigya. Remember his pratigya?
Yeah.
I will never marry and all that. So he sticks to that pratigya and he says, listen, I can't marry you.
So much has happened because of that pratigya.
Everything, actually, Bhishma he should have actually broken. Dharma says he should have broken his promise. Because what was more important in this case?
Not even this case, even prior also.
Also he did, but in this case also, if you just take this case, he should have married Amba because he did mess up her life. So he should have put it right. Now, anyway, so Amba goes to Parshuram and complains because Parshuram was Bhishma's guru. She says, your student has done this, and I'm mad at him, and now look, where do I go? So Parshuram goes to Bhishma and says, no, you should marry her. So he says no. So then they fight. So 21 days they fight. And nobody can defeat Bhishma and nobody can defeat Parshuram. So it's a draw. They give up after 21 days. Amba goes and she says, there's only one person for me now, and that is Lord Shiva. So she goes and she does tapasya to Lord Shiva. And then after that, Shiva is happy because he's Bholenath and he's very easy to please. So he comes and he says, what can I do for you? And she says, I want to be the cause of Bhishma's death. It's a burning desire in me. I want to be the cause of his death. So Lord Shiva says, Tathastu. And then what happens? She's born as Shikhandi in her next life. She's born as Shikhandi and she is the cause of Bhishma's death. So the long and short, what is it trying to tell you? That if you have an intense desire for something,
if not this, the next,
it will come to you. And the reason why we are reborn, one of the reasons, there are 3 reasons actually you're reborn. One is this: if you have a very strong desire, and sometimes they say, a parent dies thinking, oh, I didn't see my grandson. That parent may come as that grandson. Because that desire was so strong. At the time of death, it can be. Somebody says, I didn't see my grandson who was going to be born. I didn't see him. And I really wish I could have seen him. Then that may come as that grandson. Could be. That desire is one reason you're reborn. The second one is for karma, which we've talked about. It finds you. So to fulfill that prarabdha karma that you have chosen, you will be reborn. And the third is to learn lessons, to grow spiritually, to grow in the spiritual path. So whether we know it or not, that's the path we're on. All of us, every single one of us, we're on the spiritual path at different levels. So these are the 3 reasons. So coming back to that question you asked me, which I've rambled on about, yes, if you desire something, it will happen.
It will happen.
It depends on how strongly. If you have a strong desire, it will happen.
It will happen. Okay. But how about, and does the philosophy at the same time talk about that you have to work towards it? Is it in tandem or is it
the whole philosophy tells you not to have these strong desires. That's the whole thing. It's trying to tell you, because see, the idea is to become one with that power. To become aham brahmasmi is to understand yourself as that power and to not be reborn. So as long as you have desires, you're going to be reborn. So how can the philosophy tell you to have desires? It's trying to tell you to transcend desires, to go beyond them.
This is precisely why I believe that all, at least fundamental shastras, and by shastras I mean both Shruti and Smriti, none of them are, or at least according to my understanding, are absolute. You're always in a conversation and debates about them, what to do, what not to do. Because you made a mention of this in the book also, in some chapter where Shri Krishna says something and then he contradicts himself. And then he contradicts himself again. And that contradiction may seem contradiction.
But it's not.
It's not. So, but going through 1 and 2nd and the 3rd sloka, it's a debate. And it is in these debates and conversations that our society has essentially progressed. It's in these debates and conversations that we'll perhaps find answers to our most convoluted questions, whose answers may also not be as simple as you would expect. They may be equally convoluted. But in the pursuit of the same, you'll address so many of your doubts and questions and find clarities that will help you attain perhaps that long goal, perhaps that goal that
Absolutely.
you're in pursuit for.
Yes.
You made a mention of 4 categories of people in the self-recognition of Brahman.
Yeah.
Enunciate, please, for
Yeah.
for us and the audience.
So at the very basic level, there are people, I told you, live at the mind and body level.
Yes.
That's all they're interested in. Then you have people who are who are a little more evolved, but they still have desires, but and they think of they worship, they think of God, but the reason for that is to achieve their desires. You know, we do Lakshmi Puja. Why? Not because we are devotees of Lakshmi necessarily, but because of what Lakshmi can give us, right? Then there are people who are at a higher level than that. They just do their work because it's the right thing to do. And then you have people who are even beyond that. They are so evolved that it's not because of right and wrong. They just are. Like Adi Shankaracharya kind of people. They're at a different level. So there is a level for everyone in this world. And it comes back to the same thing, that in a class, in a school, there are different levels. Everybody is not at the same level. But it doesn't matter what level you're at. You try and do what you have to do wherever you are, at whatever stage you are. Like if we are in lower KG, yes, you try to learn that alphabet. Now, after some time, that becomes second nature. Then you move on to higher lessons. So that's the whole point of the Veda, actually, is to teach you to live in this world and yet live past it, get past it. Live in the world, and the example is
Detach
like the
yourself.
lotus. Like the lotus, the example given there in the Bhagavad Gita is live like the lotus. So you see, the lotus lives in kichad. It grows in kichad. But it's not affected by the kichad. It rises above the kichad, and water doesn't stick to it and dirt doesn't cling to it. In fact, I did a reel on this. Live like the lotus. And the reason that the lotus is considered a symbol of purity in Hinduism is because of this factor, that it lives without attachment. It lives in a dirty pond, but rises above it. So the concept is to live in the world. You have to live in the world, but rise above the muck of the world. Don't get embroiled in it.
There's another shloka, 6.32. Sa yogi paramo matah. What does it mean?
So basically, in the there are many types of people who are devotees. Many types of devotees. Again, devotees who come to Bhagwan when they want something. There are devotees who only think of Bhagwan when there's a reason, and they're all good devotees. They do it because they come with true devotion, maybe for a selfish reason, but Bhagwan accepts them. He says, but the highest devotee, the highest kind of devotee, is the one who just loves Bhagwan for no reason at all, just because, with a complete sincerity, without any ask. The one who does things in life with devotion. So to translate that into your everyday life, you know, if you are, say a doctor, you see patients, you can be doing it for the money. You can say, okay, if I see these patients, this many patients, into that much fees, that much money. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it, the devoted way of doing it, is to say that each patient for me it's an act of worship. So not that you don't get the money. They will definitely give you money, you will definitely earn the money. But that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it as a worship to do the best you can for that patient. So it's not a churning machine then. You're not there, churning out, people thinking of only what fees they're giving you. You're doing it as an act of worship. So it's not like going
another thing that really happens is that beyond a point, so say आप सुबह से लेकर शाम तक आप कई दिन से बस मांगे जा रहे हो भगवान से, मांगे जा रहे हो भगवान से. And soon you realize, and perhaps there'll come a stage where you realize कि भगवान से मांगना is one thing, but उसके लिए कर्म करा जाए, ठीक. चाहे वो कर्म फुल हुआ हो या फिर मतलब वो जो चीज़ मांगी हो मिल गई हो ना मिल गई हो. If you consider yourself कि you are part of that same being, essentially this is what Vedantic philosophy is saying, कि आप भी भगवान का ही एक प्रारूप हो, भगवान आप में है, आप भगवान से हो.
You are one.
Right. There is no need to essentially tell him that this is essentially what you want, because he knows it all.
Right.
Or she knows it all.
No. Yeah, it's not a he or a she.
Right. So
actually you're telling yourself.
Yeah, you're telling yourself. So this essentially is the same thing.
Yeah.
कि जब आप भगवान से प्रार्थना कर रहे हो, आप या तो उसे in a very simplistic way manifest करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो. Because if you're telling God something, God already knows.
You're telling yourself.
You're
telling yourself. See, that is the thing. Where is Bhagwan? Not in that mandir, not in that idol, not in anything, but in yourself. So actually speaking, the reason why you have an idol is to focus yourself on something. It's like it's much easier like to use an app than to go and start doing the code. You know, if you have an app, you just click on it and you're in. So an idol is like that. It's just there. It's easy.
It's just there for you to focus upon.
That's the only purpose.
Channelize your energy.
That's the only purpose. So what you've done is when you consecrate an idol, it's not any idol, and it's not even an idol, it's a murti. Actually, idol is also the English word is not right for it.
एक वो कहीं पे लिखा था पढ़ा कि भाई पत्थर के अंदर अगर मूर्ति दिख गई तो फिर पत्थर नहीं दिखेगा. तो यार पत्थर के अंदर अगर भगवान दिख गए तो फिर पत्थर नहीं दिखेगा.
Exactly. It's a murti, and what you do when you consecrate, you are inviting that power into the murti. So in your mind, now that has become a symbol of
that divine
power. So
उस मूर्ति को मूर्ति भी मैंने ही बनाया है.
Right.
भगवान मैंने ही बनाया है उसे.
Exactly.
और अगर मैंने उसमें भगवान देख लिया तो कम वॉट में मतलब दुनिया की कितनी ताकतें लग जाए मेरे लिए तो वो भगवान है.
Exactly. And the thing is that it doesn't matter whom you worship. That's very important. You know, people fight, especially I find it strange, Vaishnavites and Shaivites. How can you fight about this? They're both the same. You know?
So which is my question.
Beautiful.
When we're rolling back to the same question perhaps we began our conversation from. कि duality or non-duality both exist in the Vedantic philosophy.
There are, yeah.
And
no, there are different schools of interpretation.
Yes. So now the question है ना कि Vedantic philosophy के अंदर ही apart from this dualism, there are also many other schools of philosophy, orthodox schools of philosophy that exist in the Hinduism and fold of our
Shad darshan. There are 6 darshanas.
6 darshanas. So ये सारी चीजें एक ही पैराडाइम में एग्जिस्ट कर रही हैं.
See, you have to understand that in our shastras, they are very broad level statements. They give you the philosophy. They don't tell you what to do. Now, the interpretation of that philosophy is open. So all these different darshans are interpretations of that philosophy. And the beauty of this Vedic philosophy is there's no blasphemy and heresy. So you can't say that, okay, if somebody is interpreting in this way, they are wrong, I'm right. And, you know, that doesn't exist. They used to have, to resolve this in the old days, they used to have shastrarth. So they used to have debates, different schools. And the most famous one is Shankaracharya and Mandana Mishra. They had a debate. Now, Adi Shankaracharya was a follower of Advaita, right, which is the non-dual school. And Mandana Mishra was of the ritualistic school, of the Karma Kand, you know, the believer in that. And so they have this debate. And in the end, Adi Shankaracharya wins. And this is a beautiful debate, and it's called that kind of debate where you're not arguing to fight with each other. You're not arguing to be one up on the other person. which most of our debates today are. It's like a shouting match. You know, you turn on the TV, it's a shouting match. Nobody wants to know the other person's point of view. They want to just put their point of view. Nobody's interested in the truth.
Which is why podcasts are a success these days.
But in this was what they call a vaad. A vaad is like when you are trying to, you have a discussion, the idea is we are having a vaad, some vaad.
Vaad is another friend of ours who's running a very successful podcast.
Yes, and that is it. It's like the discussion, the idea of the discussion is to arrive at the truth. There's no ego involved here. So that's...
Now I want to roll into a couple of chapters because I think we've been chatting for a fairly long time.
Yeah.
Trying to decode the philosophy as well as Bhagavad Gita. Each chapter, the way you've structured the book, each chapter essentially is converging towards one point, which is essentially what Upanishads have done through the Vedas.
Right.
And through the Upanishads,
yes,
you are structuring and simplifying it for our generation.
I'm simplifying the Gita.
Simplifying the
Gita simplifies the Upanishads. I'm trying to simplify the Gita.
And so there's a how to spiritualize. We've understood, and if for the sake of the audience, everyone face adversity. We've discussed it. Know your true self. We've discussed it. See the divine in everyone. We've discussed it. You don't die. We've discussed this. No one is inherently even. We've discussed it. Actions have consequences. We've discussed it. Happiness comes from within. We've discussed it. We are on spiritualize your daily life. Tell us a bit about it.
So that is the whole lesson of Karma Yoga. So, you know, people think sometimes that Karma Yoga means being very busy. You know, just running around with a busy calendar. You have to doing so much karma. That's not Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is doing your work without expectation of the outcome. Now, you say, why is that? What we talked about, MS Dhoni.
That part we've understood.
So that's what it is.
That is what
that is spiritualizing your life. Do everything as an act of worship, worshipfully to the best of your ability, without stressing about the outcome and the gain of that activity.
And we've discussed 9th chapter, power of focus.
Power of focus.
The 10th chapter is practice of ahimsa. We briefly discussed it, and largely we get the essence. 11th is the importance of equality, balance, and self-control.
Self-control is very important, actually.
We've discussed it. Let's discuss a bit more on self-control, because we've brought in the ideas of prarabdha, we've brought in the ideas of karma, we've brought in the ideas of focusing and manifestation also. But and it is generally said in the dharmic world, it's important to have self-control. And we delved into it a bit when we spoke about there are some people who are not at the same thought process or same mindset as ours.
They come with certain samskars. You're already born with, so many lives of experience. You come with that personality. So that's why if you see in a family, there'll be like 3 kids brought up by the same parents, eating the same food, going to the same school, in the same environment, and they'll all have different personalities. They're not going to be identical. Right?
My goodness, I have to record another podcast with you. I'll tell you why. Because I need at least, let's do a session sometime soon. Let's bring in 30, 40 people. You're in India for how long?
Till the end of the month.
So let's do before the end of the month. Let's host 30, 40 people here in the office only. And let's do this. We've got to
question answer session. I would love to.
Because there's no other way. See, you learned it because of your own, because you wanted to learn it.
Yeah.
There was a self-motivation, and you found
I found peace from it, basically.
Peace from it.
I came to it, just stumbled on it. I didn't actually plan to sit and...
But there's so many questions that we've discussed through our conversation also. And I think if there are more younger people attached in this conversation, would really find meaning or find joy in
Younger people are the ones who need to know this, because they are at the threshold of life. For them, they have their lives. See, you come to this at the age of 50, then honestly speaking, most of your life is over. Now when I look back, I think I wish I knew this when I was 16. You know why? So much pain and suffering that one goes through in life, I wouldn't have had. Small things like, they had a party, I wasn't invited. As teenagers, this bothers you like anything. But if you have this knowledge, honestly, it won't bother you.
It won't bother you.
It won't bother you. So that's how it makes you happy. It makes you happy because the problems that you have, that those things that make you unhappy, stop making you unhappy.
It's mostly inconsequential.
It becomes inconsequential. Like today, now if that happened today, it would not bother me at all. And I would not dislike that person also.
But is it not because, see, in generally speaking, most of the things, success in life is attached to, or the perception of success in life is attached to when you attain a certain thing. Somebody goes to Harvard University at the age of 32, 33 without a scholarship. There are hundreds of others who would have gone by then. But at the age of 18, if you crack a 100% scholarship and go to Harvard University, or for that matter, even IITs,
Actually, more difficult to get into IIT, to be honest.
So, but then that is treated like a success. Much like this, success and its perception is attached to time. If I attain, say 50,000 subscribers to the podcast in the span of next 3 months, it'll be treated as a success. But if I attain 50,000 subs in 5 years of time,
then it's not.
It's not, right? Taking the same example is attached to every young person's life. And in order to achieve that success, he or she will have to put in the work. But his or her success in that span of time is dependent on so many other factors. He could be judging, making those calculated risks. Balance sheets may be right. Teams may be right.
Then there's prarabdha karma.
Which comes in, which then brings us to perhaps the last or penultimate chapter of your book, which is you are the master of your destiny. Tell us a bit about it before we close our conversation.
So, in life, there are two things that affect what we get: effort and destiny. These are two things.
Okay, so my father calls it कि आपकी life में success के लिए, I think both of us, my father and I, both of us figured it out in our conversation at chit chat at a young age. I think I was preparing for civil services back in the day, and he was trying to motivate me. And we resolved it to कि भाई life के break through के एक ताला होता है, पर वो ताले के अंदर 2 चाबियां होती हैं. एक चाबी है जिस पे आपका कंट्रोल है, ठीक,
एक पे नहीं,
एक पे कंट्रोल नहीं है.
He said it perfectly.
So दूसरी चाबी कब खुले उसका आपको पता नहीं है. बट उस चाबी का वेट करने के लिए ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि आप ट्राई ना करते रहो. आपको रोज ट्राई करना है. यू हैव टू पुट इन द वर्क एवरी डे. गेट अप इन द मॉर्निंग, डू योर वर्क. गेट अप इन द मॉर्निंग, डू योर वर्क. क्योंकि ऐसा ना हो कि जब किस्मत की चाबी घूमने वाली हो,
you're not doing any work. You're sleeping in bed. You're snoozing.
So I think that thoughts stuck by me, and that thought's been easily
that is
14,
Vedanta.
50 years.
What he said is Vedanta. And Vedanta has a similar example. His one is very good, actually even better for today's world. The Vedantic example, which is exactly this, is effort and destiny are like two wheels of a chariot. Now, you remember the old chariots like you see in the Mahabharata and all, they had only two wheels. It was like a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
So, the two wheels of a chariot, one is effort, the other is destiny. The chariot cannot move with one wheel. It needs both. So, this explains why sometimes you put in a lot of effort. If destiny is not, if your prarabdha is not on your side, maybe you won't achieve what you want to achieve. See, but if you just sit back and don't put in the effort, the prarabdha is also not going to help you, because they both work like in tandem.
Is it some way to fix, reorient, get your prarabdha to action?
Just by your own karma. every day. No,
but-
there is.
no,
Because you control your destiny.
Again,
Oh, fix what is already in.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
not even-
Because that's already. Toothpaste is out of the tube. Can you put it back? You can't. Try. You can't. Can't put toothpaste back in the tube. It's all out.
that being said, it's been an absolute pleasure
Oh, thank
speaking
you.
with you. And hopefully, let's try to crack it sometime soon before you fly out of the
Yeah, I'd
country.
love to do that.
We'll bring a gathering of young people here.
I
And-
especially like talking to young people.
And let's
Because this is
have
for
that-
them. It's
and
not for old fogies.
let's have them raise questions also, and keep this conversation just as
Yeah.
conversationalist as
Yeah.
this recording has been for
Yeah.
us.
In fact, I'd like to just say, ask your questions. I'm there to answer whatever you
So
like.
on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, reach out to Priyaji. There are many questions, and everybody has doubts and essentially everybody will have doubts.
Yeah.
If not always, but perhaps at many times in their lives.
Oh, yeah.
But there are always these lessons that our philosophical systems have given us कि जिनके फंडामेंटल और जिनके फाउंडेशंस पर we can address many complicated problems that we face in our lives. Thank you very much, Priyaji. Congratulations for
Thank you.
Life is a Battlefield. It's out now, published by Penguin, but more to follow. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.